Hi, I hope you have completed your exercise and learned something out of how products have evolved in the past century in this example of listening to music. So we will go ahead from here, and today we're going to be learning how to break down or understand where does the exact problem lie in a product, or what are the exact issues a user is experiencing while using a product, which is a very important step before going into the solutions or fixing anything. So, for today's discussion, the example or the use case that we will be taking is Uber for events that is crowded places. So, we all must have come across this situation where we are in a very crowded place, we have come out of an event, like a sports event, maybe, let's say an IPL match, or a food fest. A Zoma Land is a very good example, and we are not able to find a cab for ourselves, or if the cab is here we are not able to locate it, and similar issues. So this is our today's problem statement. So what we will do is we will follow an approach of breaking down the entire user journey into different parts or into different steps, and identifying for each step if there is a problem there or not, and if there is a problem how we will solve it in the future. But today we will only talk about the problems part. Okay, so let's suppose we are talking about this person A who has gone to watch the IPL, and after the match is over he or she is facing difficulties in finding a cab for himself. So let's take a step back and try to understand the different journeys or different steps he had taken to reach here. So let's say X days before the event can be one point that we will talk about. Then what happened X days before the event? And we will divide it between what is the action required from the user, and because he's a rider, what is the pain point for him. And because this is a case study for Uber, we also have to think about the driver side of things as well, correct? So driver is also becomes our another set of user in this scenario. So what is the driver pain? So X days before the event, the action on the part of the main action for the user is to book tickets to the event and plan travel to it, which is I guess not very difficult, or we can simply rule out that user will not be having any significant pain here. You can directly book the ticket. If there are any problems while booking the ticket, that will form a separate problem statement which we will not discuss right now. And we can safely say that the rider, because the user has not become a rider yet, so there are no rider pain points, right? And it's not applicable, so we can say not applicable, no pain points here. And the driver side also, it is not applicable. Okay, now we can talk about the second scenario, which is right before the event. So let's suppose the event is starting at 12 p.m. We wake up in the morning and we are planning to travel to the event today. That is going to be the highlight of the day. So what is the action plan for the user here? Travel to the venue. So traveling to the venue, he'll be looking out for cabs or personal transportation or public transportation, anything. Here, solving this particular case, we are taking into consideration that the user will be booking a cab to travel to the venue of the place. That may be a stadium when he's going, because the person is going to watch an IPL match. Okay? So travel to the venue. What are the different pains the rider will go through? When he is booking the cab from his place, he should not see a significant deviation from what he sees on a daily basis. But as soon and he is able to locate the cab and board the cab. But as soon as the cab reaches the event, there may be somewhat traffic, right? Because a lot of people will be traveling to the event. So we can safely assume that the rider pane in this case will be uh, taking long to reach due to traffic, right? Which will be happening near the venue, that is the stadium. And in the case of driver who is taking the rider to the venue, the pane will be pretty similar. So longer ride time due to traffic. This time could have been used by the driver to get another ride maybe and earn more money, which he is not able to do in this particular scenario, right? And here let's introduce another category, because this is the timeline that we are discussing, and try to identify where do the exact problems lie. Okay, we have to do it in a structured manner, take care of the entire timeline or scheme of things to not miss out on anything. Okay, then let's quickly jump to the third step, which comes basically attending the event. So now a person A has already reached the venue and he would be attending the event. So while he wears the costume of a rider, and what is the action here? Action is simply attend event. So I'll not write it down. As a rider, does he face any issues while attending the event? Not applicable, correct? So we'll quickly put this over here. And as a driver, while the rider is attending the event, what is the pain point that the driver has? Well, the driver knows the demand will be surging pretty high after the event is over. A lot of people will be coming out and looking for cabs, but he won't be able to stay there because he'll miss out on opportunities. So he cannot really stay while even knowing the demand will shoot up. Can't stay at the venue till it's over to get a head start of to be the first guy to receive the cab bookings. Okay, so now our person has attended the event also, and he goes on to the next step, that is he comes out of the venue and he is looking out for a cab to travel back to his place. So the fourth step is gonna be after the event. Okay, so after the event, what is the action that the user wants to do? Because our second category is action, right? So after the event, the user wants to travel back to his or her place. And a lot of people who have just come out of the venue will be looking out for cabs now. And there may be a lot of rush because a lot of people would have traveled using their personal vehicles. They would have come out all of a sudden. The traffic would be merging from different directions. Cab would be approaching there. Public transport would be there. People will be walking. So this will create a congestion at that place, right? Okay. So what are the pain points that our rider or person A in this scenario experiences while coming out of the place when he is trying to go back to his home? So we'll quickly jot down the problem statements here. The first problem statement is, I guess, difficulty in finding a cab, right? And also the waiting times are very long, which is leading to cancellations of the request. And because the waiting times are long, cabs are not present, demand is very high. The user here in this scenario will also experience a price surge. So the prices of cabs will be very expensive. So that is also another point to consider. So waiting times are very high. Okay. And a third point will be low confidence using the app, right? He's or she is using the app to look out for a cab. Fourth point will be prices have surged. Now, using booking the cab for the same distance is pretty expensive. Okay, these are the pain points while looking out for the cab. Even after the cab, let's suppose the person is able to get a booking for himself or herself, but because it's a congested zone, there's a lot of traffic, a lot of vehicle noise that is coming from different directions. He or she may face a difficulty in locating the cab, correct? So a fifth point can be cannot locate the ride or cab easily. So yeah, this is another point, another difficulty that he is facing. And let's also think about other points as well. Okay, waiting times are very high, difficulty in finding a cab, correct. So these are the different problem statements which are pertaining to the rider. I hope you are on track here with me. Okay. We are also, but another user set that we are talking about here is the driver. So let's also talk about from the driver side of things. This has taken a lot of space, so we'll note down the driver side of things here. Being a driver, if you are trying to go to a congested venue to pick up your rider, the most important, or let's not say most important, the first issue that I will face is a lot of traffic. So difficulty in reaching due to high traffic, right? And because waiting times are very high, because the driver is also not able to reach, it applies to him also. Waiting times are very high, not every, it's very high. So yeah, a third point would be unable to locate rider. Now rider would be standing at some gate, and from that gate there would be some walking distance to the road, or even not, but if the road is right there will be a lot of traffic, and maybe the driver does not want to go to the exact date to pick the rider because it's very congested. So locating the rider and trying to coordinate is getting difficult. So we'll write coordination is difficult. It also increases in the case where someone does not know the area very well. The rider is not able to understand where is a specific gate, where does the main road lie. He is not able to see the map very well. So this is definitely or genuinely a problem. Okay, another point that I can think of is boarding the rider will be difficult, is difficult in traffic. I think this is a point which applies to the rider as well. He will also face difficulty in boarding in the cab, and if he's having luggage, it's another set of problems. So yeah, boarding the rider is difficult in traffic. And then point number 5 is that I can think of sometimes in these congested areas, or when a large event opens up, routes are often diverged. So inability to understand route in case of diversion, which happens when there is a lot of influx and outflux of users or cabs and so on. So yeah, these are the set of pain points on the driver's end, correct? Now that we have identified the entire journey of attending an event, not attending, the entire journey of booking for an event, going to the event and coming back, the major problems that are being faced by the riders and drivers is actually after the event. When the rider wants to go home and the driver wants to pick up the rider to earn some money and drop him on his home. So keeping this as the problem statement, we will dive further on which is the bigger problem here. Now that we have identified 6 issues on the rider's end and maybe 5 issues on the driver's end, we also have to prioritize these problems because not every problem will be equal, correct? So we'll just quickly dive into that. So now that we know what are the different type of problems that we have identified, which are basically lying under the case where the user is trying to book the cab after the event happens, right, to his place. But as I told you, not every problem is important, and we need to identify the high order problems first, coming down to the low priority ones, to know what to solve for, right? Now to do this, we have to identify how important is each problem for the rider, है ना? How many riders are affected by it? Is that problem a significant problem from the driver side as well? Also, is that problem large enough for the company to solve for? Does it affect the business side of things in the company or not? And what is the state of that problem? So let's not talk too much, but just quickly start our next exercise. So I would say I'll copy this side of things, and keeping these in mind, we will create a small prioritization structure for our to create solutions on top of them. Okay, so basically now we are talking about journey of booking a ride from the event. This is the major event, or this is the major pain point that we want to cover, right? And we can quickly jot down these different points. First one is difficulty in finding a cab. So we'll just quickly create categories. So basically, looking for a ride. This is the first category we'll be talking about. Looking for a ride is difficult, indeed. But what are the different problems that a user is facing here? So we'll write the problems here. Problems. So looking for a ride, the major problems are high cancellations, high waiting times, the price is too much, है ना? So I'll start with the waiting time is too long, which is the first problem when we encounter when we're trying to book a cab. The second problem will be higher than usual prices, which has happened due to price surging. Correct? Now the part being so we are talking about when a user is trying to look for a ride. Cancellations also take place, but we'll consider cancellations as a subcategory of waiting time being too long, because the waiting time is very long, cancellation is happening, है ना? So I guess these two will fall under looking for a ride. Now we will talk about another category where the cab is now booked and we are trying to locate. So locating the ride. Locating the ride is also difficult because the traffic is high, due to which drivers are not willing to come, and that's why the supply has dropped. And yeah, so the problem will be difficult to locate in traffic. Correct. Now after you have let's say you found the cab, you are able to locate it, you'll be boarding the cab. So let's consider the category where boarding the cab, what are the problems in it, right? So the major problem that I can see while boarding a cab is, again, there will be some difficulty in boarding in traffic, है ना? I think we already mentioned this point earlier. We'll copy it from there. So boarding is difficult in traffic, and just clean it. So this is our boarding problem. Also difficult to locate in traffic. Boarding is also difficult. Time to board was also very high in this scenario, correct? Because we were not able to locate the cab. Time to board is higher. Okay. Now that you have boarded on the cab, now you'll be traveling back, and let's see what are the different problems the user was facing while traveling. Traveling in the cab. Obviously, your travel time will take a hit while you are, moving out of this congested zone. So time taken is higher due to traffic. All right. And another problem statement which also happens in hot places like North India, that the cab drivers do not turn on their ACs, especially in a traffic zone, because traffic usually consumes a lot of fuel, so they are already low on their unit economics, so they turn down the AC and roll down the windows. So maybe we can mention this problem statement as well. But this is very region specific. This may not happen in colder regions, or it may not happen in moderate temperature places. So I would say feeling hot, AC unavailable. ठीक है. Now that you're traveling in the cab, these are the different problems that I can think of right now, or that the user will be facing. After this, the user has reached his home, the next step, and post journey things come into place, where I guess if you're traveling alone, safety is a concern, because you may be dropping off at a very late night, but that's a very edge of scenario. And if you're traveling in a group, if someone has paid for it, you'll be splitting the bill, which I guess is a pain point or a problem. Splitting the bill. Now that we have identified all the different problems that we had initially talked about, make sure you have attended to each of the problem here and categorize this pretty well, so we know the exact step or the exact journey where we are locating it at. Now that we have the problems on hand, we'll quickly go ahead and see how many people does it affect. So let's categorize this into affected rider base, and we will quickly categorize this into small, medium, or large. Okay. So the rider base that we'll be talking about here is the ones that are waiting outside the venue after the event to look for a cab, not the entire user base of Uber or Ola, है ना? So looking for a ride, I would say waiting time is too long. Everyone faces this. Most of the people will be facing this. So the rider base is definitely large. Higher than usual prices. See, pricing as a problem everyone will be facing, but is it a genuine problem for all? Because there may be people who will be able to afford the high prices as well and they have no issues with it. So maybe we'll go with a medium rider base here. Alright. Then locating the ride, difficult to locate in traffic. I guess we'll give another medium size to it. Some of the people may have reached the periphery, they were able to locate the driver well, some are coming afterwards. They'll also look for, will be able to locate. Now boarding is difficult in traffic, I guess we'll do another M here. Time to board is higher, I guess another time to board is higher. Yes, everyone will be difficult having this. Boarding is difficult in traffic, maybe it's a small user base. Time taken is higher due to traffic. This will definitely be an L, because traffic congestion will be a case for all. Feeling hot, AC is unavailable. I guess it's a very small segment, and in a very this is very region based. And splitting the bill is also a very small segment. So we can see the waiting time being too long and higher than usual prices are the major problems from a rider base, because a large and medium rider base is being affected here. Correct? Let's also talk about how critical is this problem for the users. Criticality of problem. The waiting time being too long is critical for all the affected users. We can definitely assume that. No one wants to be late. Higher than usual prices. Okay, I think we should do a M here, because higher than usual prices, criticality is for not for all, but everyone will be facing it, so it should be an L. है ना? Difficult to locate in traffic. The criticality of the problem, I guess it will be a medium critical. Boarding is difficult in traffic, it will be again, the criticality may be very small, let's say. Time to board is higher, will definitely be a medium, right? Time taken is higher due to traffic. The criticality is definitely large. Feeling hot, AC is unavailable. The criticality is medium, but the affected rider base is definitely small. And splitting the bill, the criticality is, I would say, for the affected users, a medium or a small one, I guess, because there are a lot of apps available, which makes splitting the bill pretty easy. So these are the different problem sets from the rider base, the size of the rider base affected, and the criticality of the problems for them. Okay, so let's also now look at how does this impact the business side or the driver side of things. So what is the impact on drivers and business opportunity for Uber? So the first problem, where the waiting time is too long, is definitely has a large impact, because users will start looking out for cabs on parallel or competitive applications, or look for alternatives very quickly. So definitely this is a business loss for the company as well as for the drivers. Higher than usual prices, because of the surge pricing, again customers are being lost, okay, and they are switching to competitors, so definitely it has a large impact as well. Locating the ride, difficult to locate in traffic. So actually this should be difficult to locate in traffic, leading to cancellations, because when the time used is too much, it will lead to cancellations. I guess this is definitely a medium-sized problem, because not a lot of users will be experiencing this, है ना? Boarding a cab is difficult in traffic, definitely, but not a lot of people will be experiencing it, and it does not look like to have a large impact or a significant impact on the business. Time to board is higher is again something I would call a small impact it would be having. Traveling in the cab, time taken is higher due to traffic. Yes, the affected rider base is also large. It is also a significant problem for the drivers, because time taken is higher, fuel consumed is way higher, and everyone is suffering. So I would say the impact is definitely large. Feeling hot, AC is unavailable. I guess this will lead a customer to leave a bad impression or bad feedback about the company, but I don't think a lot of users are affected due to this, so it will be a small. And then splitting the bill, I guess that does not have any impact, or very small impact on Uber's business. So if we conceptualize the problem size by understanding the rider base which is affected, criticality of the problem for riders, and the impact on business, we can safely say that the first category, where the waiting time is way too long and the prices have surged because of the low supply, both are happening because of low supply actually, is the major problem that we are looking at, right? But anyway, we'll quickly structure this up and say ki, and we will check if this problem is solved or unsolved. So is this problem solved? Let's say the first one, where the waiting time is too long and higher than usual prices. This is largely unsolved. And similarly, higher than usual prices, it's largely unsolved. Difficult to locate in traffic leading to cancellations. I guess it is pretty much handled. So we can call it maybe somewhat solved, because you can now call you can coordinate over call, coordinate over messages, you can share your location, the map is also visible. So let's say somewhat solved. Boarding is difficult in traffic and the time to board is higher. We can say it is unsolved. And then same for this. Time taken is higher due to traffic. This is definitely a largely unsolved problem because no one can control the traffic and its issues. By no one, I mean our current product company, that is Uber, not the users. Feeling hot, AC unavailable. It is, I would say, somewhat solved if you just don't turn on the AC but turn on the fan for the user, and I see drivers have started putting up those small fans, and splitting the bill would be somewhat solved. So because these problems are large, the first two problem statements, and the impact is large for business as well as users, and the problems are also unsolved, this is something that we should be looking at and try to create solutions for it. So this is an exercise that I will leave up to you. I hope you have understood how we have structured, how we have broken down the different steps for both drivers and riders, the entire timeline, right from booking for the event to booking a cab to their home. Identify where the major pain points were, talked about the major pain points by looking into the problems at depth, see how the problems are impacting, are they significant enough, and is the problem solved or unsolved, and try to come up to a final conclusion to which problem we will be looking at and creating or thinking about solutions for. So this is exercise, this is a homework for you. Not that you know the problem, come up with solutions for it, and come up with the pitfalls in the solutions, as in where will the solution fail, what will the impact of the solution, how much effort will it take on a very subjective basis, and then we will meet again. Till then, I hope you liked it. Thank you for joining us.